Today I am going to discussing about the details about angina pectoris. What is angina? What is the different type of the angina? What are the symptoms associated, and what are the drug we are used for the treatment of the angina, and what is their mechanism of action? In details, we are and what are the technique we are employing to detect the angina and diagnosis procedure. In details, we are discuss about the angina pectoris in today's section. So first of all, if we consider then an angina pectoris, it means ischemic heart disease. Ischemic heart disease means whenever our heart is not getting the proper oxygen supply, that time there is development of the ischemia. This ischemia is responsible for the different problem associated with our heart. There is a contraction relaxation problem, preload afterload problem. So these are all associated with the due to the increased oxygen demand in our heart. So in case of the angina pectoris, it's a syndrome basically characterized by uncomfortable sensation in the chest and neighboring anatomic structure, which resulting from an imbalance between the oxygen supply and the oxygen demand. When there is an oxygen supply imbalance between oxygen supply and oxygen demand, then we feel a uncomfortable sensation in chest and neighboring anatomic structure, and it's most commonly caused by the inability of arteriosclerotic coronary artery to perfuse the heart under condition of increased myocardial oxygen demand. So what happened in arteriosclerosis? We know that there is a plaque formation in the arteries. So this plaque formation basically it will reduce the blood flow. So if you reduce the blood flow, then the proper amount of the oxygen are not reach the heart. So there is a increase the myocardial oxygen consumption or demand into the heart. If we are not satisfied that one, that time we are feeling different type of the uncomfortable sensation in chest and neighboring anatomic structure, that is we are termed as angina pectoris, which is also we can say that it's a ischemic heart disease. So classification, there is basically three type of angina we can classify. First one is stable or typical angina, the most common form of angina, consequence of the coronary arteriosclerosis, means due to the arteriosclerosis plaque formation, this angina will develop. Present in physical activity, emotional stress also associate, and predictable, reproducible, rose in cold condition and after meal. So this is the stable or typical angina. And unstable angina, this associated with the intermediate state between the stable angina and myocardial infarction. So before you develop stable angina and myocardial infarction, in between this is the anginal symptom occur, that is the cause unstable angina. A presentation of the acute coronary syndrome may appear unexpectedly at rest, often not associated with physical activity, usually a consequence of the severe coronary arteriosclerosis, possibly complicated by a rupture and thrombus formation in the artery. So this is also associated with the arteriosclerosis, thrombus rupture and thrombus formation in the artery. So that will basically basically create the problem to the proper blood supply to the heart. So that's why this condition will arise, and this is we are termed as unstable angina. And then there is third, prinzmetal angina or vasospastic angina, an uncommon form of angina, consequence of the coronary artery spasm. If coronary artery gets spasm, occur at the rest. Patient may be younger with lower risks and typical ECG profile. If you go through the ECG, you will follow the typical ECG profile. Means it's occur basically not associated with the arteriosclerosis, it basically occur due to the coronary artery spasm. Then etiology, what are the cause? Basically sedentary lifestyle, if you have sedentary lifestyle, if you have eating more amount of the junk food and all other things, and low physical activity, that will slowly develop, there is a increase the cholesterol level, and then ultimately it will responsible for the development of the arteriosclerosis plaque, and that will ultimately leads to the development of the angina. Some genetic factor, due to the genetic factor there may be a chances of the development of angina. Then arteriosclerosis, if the any patient is develop arteriosclerosis, then there is a chances of the development of the angina. Diabetes diabetes, and hypertension and gender, male are more prominent to develop angina pectoris, and obesity is another factor, and hypercholesterolemia is another factor, and some other factor which are associated with the positive family history, which is associated with the genetic factor, smoking, drinking of alcohol, and age, drug abuse, stress, and myocardium hypoxia. So these are the different etiology or cause of the angina pectoris. Now if we come to the pathophysiology, here in left hand side you can see that normal cell, normal vascular cell wall, where endothelial cell you can see that the lumen, patent lumen, normal endothelial function, platelet aggregation is inhibited, but first arrow you can go to the stable angina, you can see that lumen narrowed by the plaque, inappropriate vasoconstriction. So in there is a formation of the plaque, there is a formation of the activation of the platelet aggregation and all other factor associated with the arteriosclerosis, there is a plaque formation and lumen get narrow, so the inappropriate vasoconstriction you will observe. So if there is vasoconstriction, so it will inhibit the proper supply of the blood to the heart and other body part. And you can say that unstable angina, there is a rupture of the plaque, there is a platelet which are get aggregate, and there is a thrombus formation, plaque rupture, platelet aggregation, thrombus formation, unopposed vasoconstriction. So here also you will get the vasoconstriction. And variant angina, then there is no overt plaque formation, but there is intense vasospasm due to the some other factor, etiological factor. There is a development of the vasospasm, the vessel will get narrow and it will inhibit the proper blood supply. So this is the pathophysiological condition of the angina. So now you can see that myocardial ischemia develop when coronary blood flow become inadequate to meet the myocardial oxygen demand. In the picture you can see that why this coronary blood flow become inadequate, due to the plaque formation, due to the spasm, due to the aggregation of the platelet, due to the thrombus formation. This cause myocardial cell to switch from aerobic to anaerobic metabolism with a progressive impairment of the metabolic, mechanical and electrical function. Studies have shown that adenosine may be the main chemical mediator of the anginal pain. During ischemia, ATP is degraded to the adenosine, which after diffuse to the extracellular space causes the anginal pain. So these are the pathophysiological condition of the angina. Now what are the symptoms? Diphtheria, nausea, pain in the neck and jaw, epigastric pain, pressure on heart, dizziness, pain in the shoulder and arms, breathlessness, tightness, pain, fatigue and burning sensation. So you will get this type of the symptom. If you are suffering from angina, then you will maybe develop this type of the symptom, or you may experience this type of the symptom in you. Diagnosis, what are the diagnosis kit or tool we are using? First thing we are using electrocardiogram, ECG or EKG. Each beat of your heart is triggered by an electrical impulse generated from the special cell of your heart, and electrocardiogram record this electrical signal as they travel through your heart. So you already know that there is cyanoactin, SA node, AV node, Purkinje fiber. These are responsible for the generating of the electrical impulse. This impulse will responsible for the myocardial contraction and ultimately release of the blood from the heart and entry of the fill up of the blood from heart by this mechanism. So if you go through the ECG, you will get about the idea about the electrocardiogram record. This there is abnormality in electrical signal where they travel through your heart. Is there abnormality, is there any problem associated with that one, you can get idea about by ECG. Then stress test, sometime angina is easier to diagnose when your heart is working harder. During a stress test, you may be advised to exercise by walking or on a treadmill or pedaling a stationary bicycle. In that time, your blood pressure and your ECG reading are monitored as you exercise. Other tests also may be done at the same time as a stress test. If you are unable to exercise, you may be given some drug which cause the increase the workload of the heart and stimulate the exercise, followed by an there is imaging test. Then echocardiogram. A echocardiogram use sound wave to produce the image of your heart. Your doctor can use this image to identify angina related problem including heart muscle damage due to the poor blood flow or blood supply. Then there is nuclear stress test. A nuclear stress test help measure the blood flow to your heart muscle at rest and during the stress. So these are the diagnosis, and then your doctor may advise to you go for the chest X-ray. This test take your image of your heart and lungs. This will took the other condition that might explain your symptom and to see if you have an enlarged heart or not. Then blood. In during myocardial ischemic conditions or certain heart enzyme which slowly leak down into the blood. If your heart been damaged by heart attack or ischemic condition or some other reason, so if we take the sample of your blood and monitor that type of the presence of or absence of that type of the enzyme, that will help also diagnose the disease. Then coronary angiography. Coronary angiography use X-ray imaging to examine the inside of your heart blood vessel. It's a part of general group of procedure known as cardiac catheterization. Then cardiac computerized tomography CT scan. In a cardiac CT scan, you lie on a table inside the donut shaped machine, and X-ray tube inside the machine rotated around your body and collected the image of your heart and chest, which can show if in any of your heart arteries are narrowed or if your heart is enlarged. Then there is cardiac MRI, and cardiac MRI you lie on a table inside a long tube like machine that produce the details image of your heart structure and blood vessel. So by this cardiac MRI doctor can diagnose is there any problem associated with that one or not. Now classification of the anti-anginal drug. What are the drug we are using for the treatment of the angina? First we come to the vasodilator. Vasodilator we are divided into two class, nitrate and calcium channel blocker. Nitrate isosorbate dinitrate, nitroglycerin, and calcium channel blocker there is amlodipine, nifedipine, diltiazem and verapamil. Then there is beta adrenergic receptor blocker without intrinsic sympathomimetic activity. So non-selective beta 1, beta 2, that is propranolol, and selective metoprolol and atenolol. Then we are using antiplatelet drug, aspirin, clopidogrel and efzimab. And then we are using lipid lowering drug, HMG coenzyme A reductase inhibitor, atorvastatin, lovastatin. These are the drug. Lead sodium channel blocker, ranolazine, IF sodium leak channel blocker, ivabradine, and related to other anti-anginal drug, dipyridamole and potassium channel opener, that is the minoxidil and diazoxide. Sometime with this drug in a combination we are sometime using SCE inhibitor also. So vasodilator nitrate, if we are taking the nitroglycerin and our endothelial cell, both are also responsible for the release of the nitric oxide. Nitric oxide, what happened? It activate the guanyl cyclase. Guanyl cyclase, here you can see the plus sign. This nitric oxide activate the guanyl cyclase. This guanyl cyclase is responsible for the conversion of GTP to the CGMP, and CGMP, which with the help of enzyme phosphodiesterase converted to the GMP. Okay, but in later on you can say that myosin light chain, and there is enzyme that is known as myosin light chain kinase, which convert myosin light chain into the myosin light chain phosphate. This myosin light chain phosphate combined with the actin, it will responsible for the contraction. But what happen if the level of CGMP is increased? If the level of CGMP conversion of GTP to the CGMP is increased, the myosin light chain phosphate which converted to the myosin light chain, the nitric oxide which will help to the conversion of the myosin light chain phosphate to the myosin light chain. This myosin light chain is responsible for the relaxation of the smooth muscle. So by this mechanism nitric oxide are work. So first what happened, you are taking the nitrate or endothelial cell release the nitric oxide, it will activate the guanyl cyclase convert the GTP to the CGMP. This CGMP convert the myosin light chain phosphate to the myosin light chain, and this myosin light chain will responsible for the relaxation of the smooth muscle. So less amount of the myosin light chain phosphate will available, which will combine with the actin and responsible for the contraction. So by this mechanism the nitric oxide act as an vasodilator. Nitrates basically responsible for the dilating the vessel and reducing the heart load, wall tension also decrease, redistribution of the coronary circulation, dilating conduct artery, collateral circulation also increase, reducing the wall tension, blood flow in ischemic subendocardial area also increase. Adverse effect are dizziness, flushing, rapid heartbeat, restlessness, reflex tachycardia, contraindicated in the pregnancy, head injury, alcohol and glaucoma, drug interaction, sildenafil, vardenafil, ergot alkaloid, high dose of aspirin, use all type of angina, severe hypertension and ischemic heart disease. Then we come to the calcium channel blocker. Here you can see that calcium channel, this calcium channel, calcium will enter inside the cell. After entering the calcium inside the cell, this calcium will influence the sarcoplasmic reticulum to release more amount of the calcium. This calcium bind to the camodulin. This camodulin will responsible for the myosin light chain kinase to convert myosin light chain kinase phosphate. This myosin light chain kinase phosphate is responsible for the myosin to the formation of the myosin light chain phosphate. This myosin light chain phosphate combined with the actin and it will responsible for the contraction. So here if we block the calcium, then there is no calcium camodulin complex, so there is no conversion of the myosin light chain kinase phosphate from myosin to the myosin light chain phosphate. So there is no actin myosin combination, so there is no contraction. This is the main mechanism of the calcium channel blocker. Entry of calcium through the L type calcium channel lead to the activation of the myosin light chain kinase, which then leads to the phosphorylation of the light chain myosin, finally resulting there is an actin myosin cross binding and contraction of the vascular smooth muscle, resulting in the vasoconstriction. So calcium channel blocker blocks calcium channel, resulting vasodilation, predominantly arteriolar smooth muscle and effect on vascular smooth muscle, vasodilation of systemic arterial smooth muscle, increase the systemic blood decrease the systemic blood pressure, And vasodilation of the coronary arterial smooth muscle increase the blood supply to the cardiac muscle, and cardiac muscle what SA node decrease the rate of nodal discharge, AV node decrease the AV conduction, decrease the heart rate, decrease the myocardial contractility, and decrease the conduction. Pharmacokinetic nifedipine is extensively converted to the inactive metabolite, and approximately 80% of nifedipine and metabolite are eliminated via kidney. The half-life is approximately 2 hours. Since hepatic biotransmission is the predominant route for the disposition of the nifedipine, the pharmacokinetic may be altered in patient with the chronic liver disease. Side effect or adverse effect are dizziness, flushing headache, transient hypotension, and peripheral edema. Major drug interaction with the cimetidine, 80% increase in the nifedipine plasma concentration level. Then diltiazem, oral administration, plasma elimination, half-life is 3 to 4.5 hours. Adverse effect are hypotension, AV conduction block, bradycardia, constipation, and major drug interaction. Diltiazem can produce additive effect with other antihypertensive drug and with cardiac effect of the beta blocker. Contraindication, hypotension, AV block, second or third degree, sick sinus syndrome, except in the presence of functioning ventricular pacemaker, acute myocardial infarction, pulmonary congestion, lactation, and therapeutic application, vasospastic and classical angina, hypertension, control of ventricular rate in atrial fibrillation or flutter. Now we come to the antiplatelet drug. This antiplatelet drug, how they work. So you can see that thrombin, adenosine diphosphate, and thromboxanase A2. This will activate the glycoprotein 2B and 3A activation. This glycoprotein 2B and 3A responsible for the platelet aggregation, and that will responsible for the thrombus formation. So the antiplatelet drug clopidogrel, this basically bind to the P2Y12 receptor and antagonize the activation of the ADP. So ADP will not bind to this receptor, and this will not able to activate the glycoprotein 2B or 3A. So the thrombus formation are not formed. And then we come to the thromboxanase A2. The drug aspirin, it will block the conversion of thromboxanase A2 to the activation of glycoprotein 2B and 3A activation. So ultimately there is no thrombus formation. So there is no thrombus formation. So it will act via this mechanism. If glycoprotein 2B and 3A are get activated, what happen? It will responsible for the platelet aggregation. Now glycoprotein 2B or 3A inhibitor, acizimab, it will inhibit the activation of the platelet, so that there is no platelet aggregation, so there is no thrombus formation. So by this mechanism, this antiplatelet drug are working. Aspirin adverse effect are irritation to the stomach and intestine, feel like thrown up, heartburn, ringing of ear, hemorrhage in skull, decreased blood platelet, anemia, decreased WBC, contraindication, GI bleeding, coagulation disorder, glucose 6 phosphate deficiency disorder, thrombocytopenia, drug interaction, alcohol, anticoagulant, antidiabetic, produce hypoglycemia, uses, treatment of the exertional and unstable angina, ischemic stroke, preventing and treating the heart attack, and also as an analgesic. Clopidogrel adverse effect, easy bleeding, abdominal pain, diarrhea, fainting, fever, headache, and serious bleeding in the gut, eye, stomach or brain may occur. Contraindication, allergic disease, peptic ulcer, bleeding from eye or brain, recent surgery, serious trauma, liver disease, and drug interaction, antidepressant, proton pump inhibitor, ibuprofen, naproxen or aspirin, and use unstable angina, preventing and treating the heart attack and peripheral vascular disease. Esigimab adverse effect are nausea, vomiting, minor bleeding, irritation at the injection site, serious bleeding in the main serious side effect, contraindicated bleeding with last 6 weeks, stroke in last 2 years, brain trauma or blood vessel problem in the brain, thrombocytopenia, pregnancy, liver disease, inflammatory bowel disease, drug interaction or dextran, anticoagulant, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug, antiplatelet drug, use it's a type of blood thinner used in the balloon angioplasty, coronary stent placement, and precaution of the coronary intervention. Then lipid lowering drug or HMG coenzyme A reductase inhibitor. So, in glycolysis and beta oxidation of the fatty acid are responsible for the production of the acetyl coenzyme A. This acetyl coenzyme A, with the help of HMG coenzyme A reductase, it will convert it to the mevalonate. This mevalonate is responsible for the conversion to the cholesterol and increase the VLDL and bile acid production. So, we know that cholesterol is one of the major thing which associated in the development of the arteriosclerosis. So, here we are using HMG coenzyme A reductase inhibitor, atorvastatin and all type of the statin which inhibit the conversion of acetyl coenzyme A to mevalonate. So, there is no by blocking the HMG coenzyme A, we stop the production of the mevalonate. So, ultimately we are capable of stopping the production of the cholesterol. So, ultimately there is less VLDL and bile acid production. So, there is a less chance of the development of the arteriosclerosis. So, there is proper blood supply to the heart and maintain the normal integrity of the heart. So, adverse effect: headache, nausea, vomiting, constipation, diarrhea, rash, muscle pain, liver failure, memory loss, amnesia, contraindicated in liver disease, pregnancy, drug interaction, protease inhibitor, antibiotic, erythromycin, clarithromycin, calcium channel blocker, grape juice use, treatment of the arteriosclerosis that causes the chest pain, stroke and heart attack. IF sodium leak channel blocker, ivabradine. So, here you can see that there is a left hand side there is a sodium, entry of the sodium and with exchange to the potassium, that will activate the SA node. This SA node will responsible for the generate of the impulse or action potential that will pass through the AV node, Purkinje fiber, and ultimately responsible for the contraction of the heart muscle. So, if we block the sodium channel, so there is if we block the sodium channel, so there is less activation of the or generation of the action potential, and then there is decrease the force of contraction of the heart. It selectively inhibit the Fermi current, that is IF, in cyanoarterial nodal tissue, resulting in decrease in the rate of diastolic depolarization and consequently the heart rate, a mechanism that is distinct from those of other negative chronotropic agent. Thus, it has been evaluated and is used in select patient with systolic heart failure and chronic stable angina without clinically significant adverse effect. Adverse effect are blurry vision, slow down the heart rate, palpitation, change in the heart rhythm, vertigo, shortness of the breath, muscle cramp. So, contraindication: caution in patient with the symptoms of tiredness or shortness of the breath, chronic retinal or eye disease, chronic heart failure, moderate liver disease, several renal disease, mild to moderate low blood pressure, pregnancy and breastfeeding women. Drug interaction: ketoconazole, itraconazole, clarithromycin, erythromycin, ritonavir, and uses mild to severe chronic heart failure in case of the treatment of stable angina and chronic heart failure. Lead sodium channel blocker: the drug is ranolazine that inhibit the lead sodium inward current. So what happened when there is a ischemia, there is increase the lead sodium inward movement. This sodium inward movement that will increase the sodium overload. Then this sodium will responsible for the overload of the calcium. Then there is diastolic relaxation is failure, increase the diastolic tension, extravascular compression, which will ultimately leads to the ischemia. So what happen if we block the lead sodium channel? So there is no entry of the sodium, so there is no sodium overload, so there is no calcium overload, so you will get the diastolic relaxation. What happen in ischemic condition? That is diastolic relaxation failure. But if we are using the drug ranolazine that block the inward lead sodium channel, inward movement of the sodium, that will increase the diastolic relaxation and improve the from ischemic condition. So adverse effect are dizziness, nausea, constipation, headache, swelling in the hand, ankle or feet, slow, fast or irregular heartbeat, tremor, blood in the urine, shortness of the breath, drug interaction, clarithromycin, ritonavir, fluconazole, cyclosporin, contraindication, hepatic impairment and pregnancy, uses treatment of the chronic angina and also potentially used other cardiovascular condition. Then beta blocker, here you can see that in heart basically beta 1 receptor are present. Beta 1 receptor when the adrenaline noradrenaline bind catecholamine bind to this beta receptor, that will activate the ATP to the CMP second messenger, which will activate the CMP dependent protein kinase and responsible for the stimulate ATP dependent calcium reuptake, increase the number of calcium channel opening, allowing more calcium to enter inside the cell, increase the velocity of the contraction. So ultimately all of are responsible for the contraction of the cardiac muscle, which will increase the demand, increase the oxygen demand and increase the ischemic condition. But if you use the beta blocker, you can see that every step are closed. There is a red sign, ATP to the CMP formation is blocked, then automatically all the step are blocked. So no calcium, no opening of the calcium channel, it decrease the velocity of the contractility, so heartbeat beating more slowly with less force, blood vessel dilated and improve the blood flow and reduce the blood pressure. So ultimately as a node what it occur, it decrease the heart rate, decrease the oxygen demand, decrease the contractility and decrease the oxygen demand in ventricular myocardium and arterioles, decrease the blood pressure after load and decrease the myocardial oxygen demand. Here you can see that non-adrenaline and adrenaline when bind to this one activate the adenyl cyclase protein kinase, which will responsible for the opening of calcium channel. It will also influence the sarcoplasmic reticulum to release more amount of the calcium. Then there is a actin myosin interaction, then there is a contraction. Okay. So if we using the beta blocker, it will selectively block the this catecholamine and inhibit the actin myosin interaction and inhibit the contraction and dilated the blood vessel. So site of action of beta blocker in the treatment of angina, beta blocker exert the majority of their effect on heart tissue by antagonizing the beta 1 receptor, the subtype most heavily expressed in the heart tissue. Beta blocker will block the effect of the circulating and neuronal catecholamine, which have the greatest effect on heart rate and ventricular contractility. Reduction in the both heart rate and contractility will reduce the work of the heart, resulting in the decrease in the myocardial oxygen demand, which is anti-ischemic. In addition, beta blocker also produce a reduction in total peripheral resistance with an associated decrease in the blood pressure and afterload. This effect also contribute to decrease work of the heart and myocardial oxygen demand. Treatment: angina of effort, classical angina, but not vasospastic angina. Contraindication: asthma, because if we are using the non-selective beta blocker like propranolol, it will act on the beta 2 receptor also, so it will responsible for the asthma and other bronchospastic condition, and beta 1 receptor, it will also responsible for the contraction of the bronchial smooth muscle. Severe bradycardia, AV block, severe unstable left ventricular failure. Beta blocker are contraindicated in vasospastic angina. Side effect: increase in the end diastolic volume and increase the ejection time, which end up increasing the oxygen requirement, which partially offset the beneficial effect to the reduced oxygen demand. This can be balanced by the concomitant use of the nitrate. Others: fatigue, impaired exercise tolerance, insomnia, unpleasant dream, erectile dysfunction. These are the common. Then we come to the potassium channel opener. There are the drug nictorandil and minoxidil. These are the drug. So mechanism of action, if we consider, it has dual mechanism. If you go through the structure, you can see that open potassium ATP channel, that will responsible for the arterial dilation, and it will also responsible for the produce the nitric oxide, that nitric oxide donor, as it has a vasodilator property. So it will this nitric oxide, it is nitrate moiety, and it will vasodilation property. So here is you can see that the potassium channel, entry of the potassium channel, opening of the potassium ATP channel leads to the hyperpolarization on vascular muscle cell, smooth muscle cell. It's produce the hyperpolarization, leads to the vasodilation. On cardiomyocyte, it's causes the repolarization and decrease the cardiac work. And adverse effect are flushing, palpitation, weakness, headache, dizziness, nausea and vomiting, large painful aphthous ulcer in the mouth which heal on stopping the nicronandil have been reported. So these are the potassium channel opener. Now related anti-anginal drug, that is the dipyridamole. So basically where we see in from fast nitrate also we observe that there is a PDE enzyme which is responsible for the conversion of the CMP to the AMP. AMP is responsible for the activation of the platelet. Okay. So phosphodiesterase enzyme, which there is increase the adenosine production, that increase adenosine production, increase the CMP level. This CMP converted to the phosphodiesterase to the AMP and activate the platelet. Then there is a platelet aggregation and there is a impairment of the blood supply. So the drug dipyridamole basically inhibit the PDE. So there is a inhibit the conversion of the CMP to the AMP. It also directly inhibit the activation of the platelet from AMP, and it also increase the vasodilation in smooth muscle. It inhibit the conversion of the cGMP to the GMP, increase the cGMP level, which cGMP is responsible for the conversion of the myosin light chain kinase phosphate to the myosin light chain, which will responsible for the vasodilation. So it will inhibit the conversion of the cGMP to the GMP. So cGMP level will increase, and there is myosin light chain concentration will increase, and it will causes the relaxation of the smooth muscle and vasodilation, and increase the prostaglandin I2 also in the endothelial cell. So mechanism of action of DP is increase the local concentration of the adenosine, which stimulate adenyl cyclase in platelet, leading to the increased intercellular CMP level. In addition, by inhibiting the PDE phosphodiesterase, DP prevent the breakdown of the CMP, increase the intercellular level of CMP, keep platelet from being activated. So platelet are not able to activated. Furthermore, by inhibiting the PDE phosphodiesterase in the vascular wall, DP increase the PGI2 production, and vascular smooth muscle increase the cGMP level, leading to the vasodilation. And summary of the maintenance of the therapy of angina. What happen? Acute emergency treatment of the angina, we can use oxygen, nitroglycerin, aspirin and morphine, which will reduce the central anxiety and relief from the pain. And in case of the chronic stable angina of effort, long acting nitrate, calcium channel blocker and beta blocker we are preferred. And vasospastic and variant angina, we are using nitrate and calcium channel blocker. Unstable angina, antiplatelet, nitroglycerin, beta blocker, ACE inhibitor, statin or other lipid lowering agent if applicable. In high risk patient, catheter based myocardial revascularization we are also conducted. So these are the total things all about your angina pectoris, and this is the reference from where I am collecting the data and all things. And last, thank you all.